go ahead and get one.
Thank you, Trevor.
All right, Mr. Khan, we'll start with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy, and thank you, everyone, for being here. Our first interview of a candidate to become the next head coach occurred on December 30th, and that candidate was Doug Pederson. And from there, as I've been told, it was a long, exhaustive process with no preconceived notions, and the process came to an end Thursday night, 5 weeks from the day it started, with Doug being our choice to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a tribute to Doug. He's a man who's accomplished a lot, top offensive coordinator, experienced head coach, won 3 division titles in 5 years, a man who just 4 years ago won the Super Bowl. And he did it for Philadelphia Eagles, a city very much like Jacksonville was looking for their first championship. So in the end, I mean, we have someone who's been there, a head coach, developer of quarterbacks, a man who creates a culture for players and coaches alike, a culture they'll thrive in, and a leader who commands respect and inspires those around him, and a man who wins. We wanted someone who knows exactly what it is to be the last team standing in February and is passionate about doing it and doing it again. That man is the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Pederson.
I can tell just walking through this building and the excitement that's in this building, and have a chance to really sit with a couple players this morning and just get a feel for them. And this culture is all about winning. The players here want to win. I want to win. And that's what I can bring to the Jacksonville Jaguars, to this community, and to our fan base. As Shad mentioned, the interview process was thorough. It was very exhaustive. And even for us as candidates who went through the process, not really knowing what was going to go on. And I can appreciate the diligence that the Khan family presented, what Trent presented, what they went through with Tony, and really, you know, the fact that they took time to get to this decision today makes me even more proud that, yes, I was the first candidate interviewed, and yes, I was the last candidate interviewed. And in between, there were a lot of great candidates. A lot of great candidates could be sitting here, today. And so, obviously I want to recognize my wife, Jeannie. She's up here in the front row. And she's been by my side through everything. As a former player in the National Football League, to a quality control coach, to an offensive coordinator, to becoming a head coach, she's been there by my side. Our 3 sons, Drew, Josh, and Joel, they are so excited to be able to get ready to put on the Jacksonville Jaguar swag, as they call it, and get ready to support the football team. To our players, and I think this is so important, to our players, my sole focus, starting from the minute that I was hired, is to really help them to be their best, help our team win football games. And it's our jobs as coaches to put our players in position to be successful, to develop their talent. I can appreciate the diligence that the Khan family presented, what Trent presented, what they went through with Tony, and really, the fact that they took time to get to this decision today makes me even more proud that, yes, I was the first candidate interviewed, and yes, I was the last candidate interviewed. And in between, there were a lot of great candidates. A lot of great candidates could be sitting here, today. It's our jobs as coaches to put our players in position to be successful, to develop their talent, one player at a time, one unit at a time, and that's how you win football games in the National Football League. And there are some really, really good players on this football team, and the pieces are here. And that's why I'm excited. And that's what drew me to the Jacksonville Jaguars, to be able to sit down, to interview with these two gentlemen, and now have the opportunity to lead this organization. And to our fans, listen, I know you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot, even this past season. But that's about to change. And I can promise you that I'm going to come to work every single day with a diligent task to make this a winning organization. This is what he has asked me to do. This is why I've been hired here today. And this is a relationship that is just beginning. And so I'm excited, one, to have this opportunity to lead your organization, but two, to be able to get in here, develop a coaching staff, develop our philosophies, develop our schemes to be successful on the football field. This is not an overnight fix. This is not, we're just going to snap our fingers and start winning football games. Our goal is to win football games, but we're going to do it one player, one coach, one person in the organization at a time. And I'll challenge our team, and I'll challenge our fans. It's about ownership. It's about support. It's about leadership. And that's what I'll bring. That's what I'll bring to the organization. And I'm not going to settle for anything less than a championship caliber team. And I know these two gentlemen here, along with Tony, along with Mark, feel the same way.
For Shad, at any point during this process, did you offer the job to any other candidate, and for whatever reason, that did not work out?
We had a process, Gene, and we ran the process, and we had great candidates, but Doug is our guy, okay? So, during the time, we interviewed over 10 candidates. Some of them, that really tells you the pool of candidates we had, got other jobs, and that was great.
Follow up. It is very unusual in a search to have the candidate that you settle on have a 33-day separation between the first interview and the second interview.
It might be unusual, but it tells you the thoroughness of this process. The first time, by the way, last year when we did the search, we reached out to Doug, and he was taking the year off. So this wasn't, impulsive. And how this process started, obviously, he was available for an interview. And the Zoom interviews under the NFL rules, could only start at a certain time. And then after that, different candidates would be available according to the NFL rules at different times. So our goal was really to, get it right and interview, as I said earlier. We started with a pool of candidates, and as time went on, there were other people who reached out to us. And this was an opportunity where, we wanted to learn and really interview everyone just to make sure that we absolutely had the right person.
And multiple players came in and said, it's the off season, it's the weekend, guys are traveling. And I talked to Josh Allen, he said, I had to get here to meet my coach. What did that mean when all these players showed up and it was one by one coming in your office?
That just goes to show you the type of players that are here on this team. And that's a credit to Trent and his staff to be able to bring these players with high character, not only great athletes and great football players, but high character. And that's something that I'm a big believer in. And having that type of structure, and to see and talk to these players this morning, to show the support and to be able to talk with them, and that's why I said in my statement, these guys want to win. Bottom line, they want to win, and it's got to be about football, and it is with these guys. And so it makes you feel good that they were there this morning.
Shad, this one's for you. About a year ago, you sat in a similar position and told us this time you got it right. What makes you feel like this time you did get it right?
Well, I was just a year premature, okay? So I did get it right.
Can you shed some light on the management structure, how it'll go, who has final say on personnel?
I think, it's going to be a collaborative process. And I think all of us are aligned. The goal here is to win.
In terms of, between Doug and Trent, who will be making the call on personnel, the final say?
I think they'll collaborate, and then, I'm part of the process too. So I think we haven't had players here in the last year that, it was one person's decision. And that's how it should be, moving forward, because we want players here who want to win and players Doug wants. So, our culture is not about just coming up with players and asking him to, coach them.
Did you learn about yourself in that year, the year off, that maybe of your desire to be back in the stadium, back on the field?
It was a great year for me. It was a great year for me, and I had opportunities to get back in the NFL, at the end of the season last year, and I just felt like at the time that I needed a break. I needed to step away and kind of just refocus myself, kind of recenter everything about me, and I knew still in my heart of hearts that I did want to coach and still be a head coach in this league and still be successful. That never left. I just needed a time to kind of just step away and kind of gather myself a little bit. And it was a great year from the standpoint of we watched our oldest son get married. We had a grandchild during the season. I lost my brother to cancer last year, and so I got to spend quality time with family, and that means a lot to me. And and really to see the guys downstairs, that kind of begins the family process for me. And then, obviously my wife and I think to kind of even reconnect, because the wives in this business and maybe the husbands of wives that are in this business, they suffer, they struggle a little bit because it's a long year, it's a grinding year, and it was really good for us to be able to just take some time and refocus. Did I miss football? Yeah, I did. That's why I went and visited some guys in training camp last year, because I just needed that fix of football and be around it. And as the season progressed, and I'm watching the entire league, it just got me, I guess, those football competitive juices back. And so by the time I got to the end of the season and, we get into this hiring cycle again, I was ready to go, and I was excited for whatever the opportunity, came before me. I had chances to interview with other clubs, and, this one really drew me in, and here I am and ready to go.
I have a franchise quarterback here in Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence. He seems to be excited. How much was that a draw for you that this could be a great fit for you here in Jacksonville?
I mean, that's something that I obviously looked at, with the teams that were searching for head coaches is who is the quarterback and is that person in place? And here it is. I truly believe that. And everything, as I've done my research on Trevor and talked to people, even talked to coaches who have played against him this past year, say nothing but great things, and kind of the sky's the limit. And, it is unfortunate that, that things didn't go necessarily smoothly, this past year, but that's behind us now. And I'm just excited to, come in here, roll up my sleeves, go to work, create a system that enhances his skill set, and be successful.
You have not reset the organization like that, a clean sweep, since 2013. Is there something philosophical at why you may just keep somebody around through a transition?
First of all, Trent's general manager for a year, and it's just like Mark Lamping as president. We have great employees who are under contract. So so we're not going out announcing, hey, we're keeping their contracts or something like that. So if there is a change, obviously we'd announce it. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Is there something advantageous to doing that helps with the transition when you make a new coaching hire as well?
Well, to me, I think the most important thing is to have the best people here that are going to help us win. And I look at the organization. We need to strengthen it, and we'll be doing that.
If I could ask one more, Trent, we'll let you talk a little bit here.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this potentially could have been a tough month for you, the last month. What has it been like for you? And did you know that through all of this, you were moving forward as the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
This was a tough month? Is that what you're saying? I knew all along that I was. I had a vote of confidence from Shad, and as we went into the process, we had a plan, and there was no timetable to announce the next head coach. We went into it with a very open mind. We had a process that we were going to go through. We stuck to it, and at the end of the day, it was about getting it right. And we truly believe we got it right with Doug, and have no doubt about it.
It has been reported that several of the candidates had trepidation about the power structure here in Jacksonville when interviewing for the position. Knowing there may be roadblocks, why did you not make a change?
You know, the candidates, I mean, we had discussions on how we're structured, open, candid discussions, and there was no one, you know, and Trent was there. Just like I think the harmony between the head coach, general manager, I think is very, very important. So, I mean, these are open adult discussions, and, you know, so there was no one who said, okay, I don't want to be part of it. I think everyone, you know, continued the process.
The thing that I learned coming out of Philadelphia too was just, and Shad has alluded to it, even Trent, I mean, we had such a collaborative approach. We had open dialogue, and we have tough conversations. That's why we get put in these positions, right? To make hard choices. It's never going to be in my favor, and it's probably not going to be in Trent's favor or Shad's favor. But at the end of the day, when we walk out on that practice field or that game field, we're Jaguars, and that's the way the structure was, you know, where I came from in Philadelphia, and I see that same structure. And these are even the conversations through this process, and it wasn't just me being interviewed, you know, several weeks ago in December, and then again a couple days ago. These are conversations that were ongoing throughout the entire process, and that's what draws you to organizations where, you know, it's the head coach has also some say in picking the ingredients, so to speak, right? And I think that's important, you know, because we're the ones out there coaching these players and getting them right on game day, and I just love the fact that we can get in a room and we can dialogue and make these hard decisions.
How involved was Tony in this process? Tony Khan.
Tony Khan?
Yeah.
I mean, he was in both interviews, you know, with me. It was really, for me, it was a great time just to get to know him and kind of what he does for the team and for the organization. And you know, he asked some difficult questions, you know, of me, and you know, but yeah, the process was really good, and it was great for me to kind of get to know him a little bit better.
There's going to be some changes, and in this league, I think if you look at what Cincinnati did, you can make these changes fairly quickly. We're going to go through it. The first thing is Doug and I sitting down with the rest of the staff once we get them in place and going through the roster and really putting a plan together for free agency, for the draft, and address the needs that we have. I think the thing to keep in mind, we got a lot of good young players here. The cupboard's not bare. We just have to add to that. We have to add some pieces at the right spots and get the right people in here. And the type of players we're looking for are players that love the game, high character guys that are going to fit the style of play that we want and the culture that we want to build here. So that's the starting point, is getting the coaches in here and then collaborating to see exactly how we're going to address the needs that we have.
The only person of color who's a majority owner of a team in the NFL, what needs to be done to foster diversity from the executive ranks, front office ranks, and the head coaching ranks?
I think a lot needs to be done. I don't know if you read Tony Dungy's letter to owners. I thought that was very profound and really good. And I mean, it's really personal for me in a way because, you know, we interviewed a lot of people. And I think the league is very serious, but when I flip it, I mean, I've spent, hard to believe, half a century dealing with corporate America. And so I was on the other side of the fence as a minority person, minority business person, looking for work from corporate America. About 40% of the business, you know, is minorities, and yet they were doing less than 1% of the business. This would be primarily in industrial companies, automotive companies, and what have you. And so that journey was about, we don't want to set you up for failure, all that kind of stuff. And the metrics still apply, the same whether you're minority or not, which in this case would be a number of things, including winning. So, I mean, there's a lot of work to do, and I wish there was a quick fix. I wish there was a silver bullet for some of this thing. But I think it says as much about America, frankly, as it does anything else. And we've got and again, I go back to, I think Tony Dungy's letter is really good, that there's a lot of heavy lifting ahead, and we've got to show results.
There are not a lot of opportunities in business to have a reset collectively. How important is it to take advantage of that reset with all of those opportunities still available that were in place back in June?
Well, I think, that's why we've got Doug here. So, so the good thing is we have all those opportunities, and we've got to take advantage of it.
Kind of, firm in that you wanted to enter this process with Trent as general manager, not undergo any kind of change in the front office.
I want to have really the best people to help me. Simple as that.
Have you decided yet if you're going to be calling plays, and can you just talk about how Trevor Lawrence fits into your offensive philosophy?
As far as Trevor goes, obviously it's something that as I get in here and really start diving into the film, I've been able to watch him, not only on TV, but look at him on tape and watch him and kind of know who he is, a little bit about him. But the more now that I get to come in here and really study him and study the game, and obviously, listen, he's one player on this team. He's a good player, but also watching the entire team, offense, defense, and special teams, and that's our job moving forward is to find more good pieces to put around him. So I'm excited, from that standpoint, and then refresh my memory on your first part of that. Calling plays, yeah. That's something that I pride myself in. I will say this right now that I want to call the plays, and I want to put myself in position to help this football team, and that's my not only lead the team, but I've done that in my 5 years in Philadelphia, and I feel really comfortable doing that. And listen, there are times when you get stuck in games and you turn things over. I'm going to be the first one to tell you that you get stuck as a play caller, and you turn it over to some different eyes, and that's just where I'm at. I want to.
For Shad, you mentioned the need to add some structure or more structure to the front office and adding personnel. There were reports that Rick Spielman was in for an interview. Could you just confirm whether or not that occurred and if he will be joining your front office?
Well, we're looking at additional people. So, to strengthen the front office. Definitely we're going to be strengthening the front office. And, NFL has a process. We'll be following that, interviewing people, and then, coming up with a structure that, helps us win.
You talk about relationships and how important they are in succeeding in the National Football League, obviously. I'm just curious how you two envision working together.
Yeah, this is obviously the first time that I've really gotten to know him personally. When he was in San Francisco and I was working and stuff, that your paths cross from time to time and all of that. But this was the first time for me to really get to know him and the way he thinks and how he conducts business. And look, it's going to be it's going to be a relationship that's going to be ongoing, quite frankly. And it's going to be very positive. And one of the things that I like about Trent, and one thing that kind of drew me to him in this situation is how open he is, how transparent he is, and a lot of full disclosure. And it's disclosure within the structure that we're trying to build and the team we're trying to build, and the fact that he's allowing myself and others in the personnel department. Listen, it's about the input, and we got to have these, as I mentioned earlier, tough discussions, right, on players and how we build it. But this is something I'm looking forward to.
Just based on your early dealings with Doug, how do you feel that collaboration will actually go? And can you honestly say that there will not be any kind of a tug of war when it comes to power and all that stuff?
Yeah, I don't, people talk about that all the time. This question's asked in 32 buildings across the league. Who has power? Who's the final decision maker? Show me one building where you're not collaborative and you're winning. It just doesn't happen in the National Football League. So I think the collaboration that we're talking about is tough decisions got to be made at the end of the day, whether it's a draft pick, whether it's free agency. Those decisions come down sometimes to the wire, and somebody's got to make that decision. In this case, it's the three of us, right? We're going to sit down, we're going to collaborate, and I just think it's such an overused question in this business. And I feel very confident in saying, how many hours did we spend together?
A lot.
We spent a lot of hours together over the last couple of days just talking about philosophy, talking about the approach, collaboration, who's involved. And I can say this, in my years in San Francisco, the 2 years that I've been here, 1 year as the general manager, we've had very open discussions. Last year, a lot of people were involved in putting those final decisions together, and we look forward to doing just that. I think we're very much on the same. I know we're very much on the same page on how this has to operate. Every year, we talk about the 53 and who's got final say. In all those years, I can only remember maybe 2 instances where the 53rd player was in debate, right? Usually it's pretty much a consensus as you go through the preseason, and all the training camp and everything else. Every now and then there's one or two players you have to really work through. And sometimes for coaches, that comes down to experience, and for personnel people, it comes down to potential, right? And you're weighing the difference between those two. But it's really not as difficult a process as I think we want to make it seem to be.
What's your confidence level on being able to be present at the Senior Bowl today, being able to be present at all of these sort of scouting events, as well as looking into free agency, knowing this was your priority?
Well, I think we're going to have to hit the ground running. We've lost some time, but there was nothing more important than getting this hire right. And we did that. Now we got to switch focus. Coaches hitting the ground running, putting a staff together. The scouts are actually coming in, and I do want to. The scouting staff itself is intact. That's never been a debate. I mean, we have a very strong scouting department. We're going to add to that, and anything we can do to add to that is going to benefit the organization as a whole. So we're looking forward to that. But the scouts are coming in tomorrow, and we'll start going to work on Monday. The pro department's been putting together their list for free agency. We're in very good shape that way. Now it's a matter of involving the coaches, the coaching staff, and as Doug and I talked, that's going to be critical, and we're going to have to get after it as soon as we get them through the door.
One other question from me. What did you learn in your 1 year working here with Urban Meyer, the 1 year you've been here as the general manager?
We have an owner that really wants to win, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to do that. He's been nothing but supportive to me, and through obviously some trying times. So I know this, he wants to win. He's all about the community, and I think his efforts show that time and time again. And that's what we're here to do, build a winner.
Do you feel like you're behind the 8 ball in terms of putting together a staff? You feel like you're behind already?
No.
No. Confidence-wise then in being able to assemble?
Very high.
Okay. Good. Shad, just to be a little more direct on building the front office, do you envision an EVP above these two guys, or do you envision somebody underneath Trent helping Trent?
I think both of those. We have filed a request with the NFL for EVP, and so we'll be doing that process. But definitely, I think, the interview process, we got great insights on how the organization under Trent is structured. So we need depth there, simple as that, experienced. So both of those are what we're working on.
Doug, how important is it for you to, look at the structure around the quarterback in terms of, pass catchers, the offensive line? How important is it to you to kind of get that right around Trevor, even before developing Trevor himself?
I mean, it's important. It's important. You always want to have, especially around a talented quarterback, you have that one receiver, maybe a pass catching tight end. Those things are, I remember my days playing in Green Bay. We had those guys, as players, and that's when you start looking at offensive line, obviously controlling the line of scrimmage, and who your running backs are, and that's as I said earlier. I mean, those pieces are here, and we just got to add to that roster, and then as coaches, that's where we come in, right? And we come in to help elevate these players to be successful, and Trevor. Trevor's in that group too. We got to get him to play at a high level. Obviously play better. Learn from last year. One of the greatest things that we have going for us right now is the fact that he played every game, and he's got film that we can go back and watch and study and help him improve as well.
Absolutely. And then Shad, just overall, with all the candidates you spoke to and with Doug's extensive NFL background, why was it important to you to really talk to candidates with lengthy, NFL backgrounds this cycle?
Well, I think, it's really important, and I think, again, what we need is different from what other clubs would need. I think, being able to, develop Trevor, and really, some of the other attributes which Doug is perfect for, I think that's what we need right now. So.
Your first day here in Jacksonville, when you look back at it, what will stand out?
I just think the excitement that I've seen already, the enthusiasm surrounding the Jaguars, and from the time my wife and I hit the ground this morning to the folks at the airport, and that to me sends a great message to me personally, and now as the head coach, of the Jacksonville Jaguars, because it's a fan base here that desperately wants to win, just like Shad mentioned, just like Trent mentioned. And so for me to come here today to feel, I just felt that, just walking in this building. And, I'm also excited with a new building coming in the future, and that just drives enthusiasm. And we're just here to continue that growth and, put the product on the field that people are proud to support.